All right, hello Abarso students. How are you today? All right, this is teacher James. I'm with you. We're going to read a story today. This story is called Where the Wild Things Are. The story and the pictures are by Morris Sendak. Okay? Now, before we get started, let's start thinking a little bit about what this story might be about. And there's something that we have here that can help us. It's the illustration on the front. The illustration are the drawings that you see when you're reading a story like this. So right now we're going to get ready for a do now. Before we actually start the book, we're going to think a little bit about what this book might be about. And there's some clues to help us with that. Those are called the illustrations. So in this book, there are a series of illustrations or drawings that the author has made to help us understand. So by looking at this illustration on the front page, can you spend some time figuring out what you think this story might be about? Write down what you think, use some evidence from the illustration, and start the video. Maybe you have to pause it for a minute. Start the video when you're ready. Okay, so you should have finished your do now by now. Looking at this front cover illustration, what I think this story might be about. Well, let's see. We have this thing here. It appears to be some monster, okay? The monster is in some kind of forest, but I see water with a boat. So maybe the setting is on an island somewhere. And let's see what else. It might be a tropical island, maybe somewhere very hot and kind of exciting because they have these interesting trees, okay? I don't know if this is real or fantasy. I'm going to guess that it's fantasy because monsters are not in real life. Before we start reading, let's do a couple of vocabulary words that we're going to see in the book that are very helpful for understanding the plot of the story, meaning the action that happens. So here are 6 vocabulary words. The first one is wild, okay? Yesterday, I was hunting in the forest and I saw a wild animal. Okay, so wild means something that is not controlled. It hasn't lived in a house. It hasn't lived with people. It is just going to behave in a random, crazy sort of way, sometimes without thinking. Okay, that's wild. It's an adjective. It describes something. Next word, mischief. Mischief. Okay, mischief is when you are making problems for people, tricking people, but it can be a little bit of a joke. Okay, it's something that young people might do. So my little brother was making some mischief yesterday when he put pepper in my mother's cake that she was trying to bake. Yeah, making a lot of mischief. That's a noun. It's a thing. Ceiling. Ceiling is the roof on the inside of the building. So the outside part is like the roof, but the inside part right above us is called the ceiling. And that's a thing, so it's a noun. Terrible. It's an adjective. Okay, I can say like, wow, this homework was terrible, meaning this person did a really bad job. But I can also use it to describe something that's big and scary, like a monster, or like a lion, or a dinosaur, the terrible Tyrannosaurus Rex. In this book we're going to read, terrible means like big and scary and a violent thing. Frightened. Frightened. Be careful when you pronounce this word, the G-H-T. We don't say frightened. No. Frightened. Ite. All right? It's an adjective. It means scared. Very scared. Okay? And this last word, supper. It's a noun. Okay? Supper is a synonym. Now, what's a synonym? It's a word that means the same thing. It's a synonym for dinner. Okay? It's the meal that you eat at 7 o'clock at night. Okay? Supper, dinner, it's the same thing. All right, let's get to our story. All right, so we have some interesting plants. Where the Wild Things Are. Oh, in case you forgot, we're reading Where the Wild Things Are. Okay, this is called the title page. It just reminds us what the name of the story is and who the author is. And it gives us some interesting illustrations. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. Oh, there's our word mischief. And another. Oh, there he is, making mischief. Looks like he's got a fork. He's chasing after his dog with a fork. And look at, he's made some, he's vandalized the wall. He's vandalized the wall with some drawing of a monster. His mother called him Wild Thing. And Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. So, who is the main character in this story? That's right, it's Max, okay? And why was Max sent to bed without eating anything? He had no supper, no dinner. That's right, because he told his mother that I'm going to eat you up, okay? He insulted his mother, so he got punished and he had to go back to his room and the door was shut and he sat there by himself. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew. Oh, look at that. There's a forest growing inside his bedroom. And grew. Oh, it's happening even more. Oh, he thinks it's funny. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines. Vines are these like long, skinny plants that look like a rope or a string. And because they're near the ceiling, they're all near the top. With his ceiling hung with vines, and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day. All right, so he's left his bedroom, he's sailing on the ocean. And out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. So, where is he going? Yes, he's going to where the wild things are. He's going to this place where he can find these wild things. And I think we can see one right here. Some type of dragon with smoke coming out of its face. And it's got bird hands. Oh, look, his boat is named Max. Oh, that's funny. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth. Gnashed means they shut their mouths very fast like this. And they rolled their terrible eyes, and they showed their terrible claws. Oh, he doesn't look very scared, does he? He looks unimpressed, you know? He doesn't look scared at all of these monster things. Look at that one's like a goat. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all. So how did he control these monsters? Yes, so he used magic by staring at them. He stared at them, and using his eyes, he was able to make them freeze and do what he wanted. And made him king of all wild things. And what's that? It's a crown. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start. Now, what do you think a rumpus is? I'll give you a hint. It has a "the" and an adjective in front of it, so it must be a noun. It must be a noun, so it's a thing. Looking at this picture, can you write down what you think rumpus is? Maybe take 1 minute and start the video again when you're ready. That's the end of the rumpus. Rumpus is crazy, wild party time, okay? And as you can see, the monsters have made him their king, and he is making them do all sorts of partying stuff. "Now stop," Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. Ooh, remember who sent Max to bed without his supper? That's right, his mom at the beginning of the story. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around from far away, across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. Oh, look, he's sad. He's hungry. He smells some food from far away. He wants to leave. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please, don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye. And sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day. I wonder what he's feeling right now. And into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. He's back in his bedroom. And it was still hot. The end. All right, I have a writing activity for you guys. If we go back to the end of the story, you remember, and it was still hot. Okay, it is talking about the supper that was waiting for him, okay? His dinner, okay? What I am curious about, and you might be curious about too, is does this mean something? What kind of information does this tell us about what happened in this story, okay? So, and it was still hot. Can you write a few sentences that explain what does this mean about what happened in the story? And I'm going to give you a clue. I want you to think about time. All right? It gives us a clue about the time. All right? All right, so this is my idea. And it was still hot means, especially the word still, it makes us think about time, all right? Remember that his mother sent him to bed with no dinner, no supper, because he insulted her by saying he was going to eat her up, and he was misbehaving by acting like wild around the house, okay? He just had this big, crazy adventure. The supper is still hot, okay? So that tells me two things. Number one, about time, it tells me that how long was he gone for? Maybe he wasn't gone for very long. Maybe this was all just a dream that lasted only a few minutes. I don't know. It's a possibility. The other thing is that because the supper is here and it's still hot, what does that tell us about his mother? Maybe she has forgiven him, and she's showing that she loves him. All right? Have a nice week. See you next time.